Lyford Boulevard here in Elizabeth City. It's Centre Stage. And here's your host, Andrew Russo.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Centre Stage. I'm your host, Andrew Russo. Thanks for joining us again at the Shelley Theatre in the heart of Elizabeth, South Australia. It's great to see so many people in our audience tonight. Did you have to line up long to get in? About 14 days. What, when you came out of quarantine? Does that sound right? Right, okay. And how about you, sir? 24 hours. You must be from Victoria. What, you crossed the border overnight? Okay. Look, restrictions are being lifted slowly, which is great. Theatres are welcoming back up to 20 people. Of course, abiding social distancing rules. Look, being Italian myself, that's just my brothers and sisters. Now look, another huge show. Let's welcome the Shelley Band. In tonight's episode, GHart will join me on stage. Greg is one of Adelaide's talented and much-loved artists. On stage, he sings and portrays legends of the music industry. Greg is followed by his die-hard audience wherever he performs, and they love to sing and dance along at his shows. And, depending on what show he performs, some might even throw their undies at him. Greg and I will talk everything, from where it started for him to what it means to pay tribute to the icons of the music industry. But first, in May this year, Candyshop Australia, who are Brisbane-based producers, they were due to tour the show Up and Away to the Shelley Theatre. In this righteous dance cabaret on a once-in-a-lifetime journey around the world, the Sassy Stewardesses are your live in-flight entertainment system, which features more than enough razzle-dazzle. I was joined earlier by the cast from Up and Away. Take a look. Ladies, welcome. Please introduce yourselves. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you. We're so excited to be here. We are Candyshop Show Australia, and our show is Up and Away, which coincidentally is the same name as our airline.
So how are you holding up at the moment?
Yeah, we're all right. We're just kind of trying to stay positive and trying to stay creative and trying to develop some new ideas and also keep on top of this show because, you know, when you don't see each other or rehearse for a while, everything kind of falls apart. So we're just trying to stay together, stay happy and hope that we can finally perform sometime soon.
Well, we're looking forward to having you at the Shelley Theatre, hopefully in 2021. We'll talk about dates a little bit later. But tell us all about Up and Away. What really happens at 39,000 feet?
Well, we can't spoil it for you. But lots of fun. Lots of shenanigans. We have an in-flight entertainment program, which of course we will provide to our loyal customers, including some song and dance, a lot of comedy, a lot of hijinks.
How long have you been performing the show for?
We started Up and Away in 2017, but we've toured it down to the Adelaide Fringe. It's been to WA, Northern Territory, around Queensland a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of grown and evolved as it's gone along.
So it's funny because the show's Up and Away and you're just travelling all over the place doing the show.
Exactly, yeah. We're really on tour. And it's so funny because when we spend a lot of time on the aeroplane, so we get a lot of content watching the air hostesses and you know, little irritating things that other people do. And when we're on a plane and we're the cast, not as our hostesses, we are so annoying. We're those people that you hate, who talk at the top of their voices like, I'll have another wine, please. We're sitting up on the seat rest talking to each other over the chairs. Yeah. Please put your devices away, ladies. We're like, no, stop please.
If our audience want to know more about you guys, where can they find you?
www.candyshopshow.net, and that's where you'll find all our tickets and shows and stuff that's going on. But Instagram at Candyshop Show and Facebook is Candyshop Show Australia.
Lovely. Well, ladies, thanks for joining us today on Centre Stage. We wish you all the best in 2020. We can't wait to have you in 2021, and I believe we're looking at January.
We are.
Yep, we're going to...
Keep our fingers, everything crossed.
That's right.
Oh, thank you. We can't wait.
Great. All the best. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
I'd like to introduce our next guest. He's paid tribute to some of the greatest music legends of our time. They include Roy Orbison, Tom Jones, John Lennon and Neil Diamond. Greg has toured all over Australia and is backed by some of Adelaide's finest musicians. Greg's voice and range is simply remarkable. If you close your eyes and listen to Greg sing, it would feel like Neil Diamond is right there in front of you. Greg is a regular feature on the Out of the Square touring circuit and much loved by the Playford community and Shelley audience. Please welcome GHart. Hey Greg, how you going?
Good, Andrew. How are you?
Good. How's things?
Pretty good.
How's things going? How are you holding up? What's currently happening while you're in isolation? Well, I guess not isolation.
Yeah,
but,
not too isolation. I guess that's the thing. It's no, I'm actually I'm reasonably positive about the whole thing. I've been trying to be creative.
Yep.
I've tried to stay focused on my music, and in fact, I started to record quite a bit the last 3-4 months.
Let's take it right back to the start. How did the love of performing start for you?
I think I have to credit my dad in a lot of ways. He used to play a lot of records. He was really, I guess, just a music buff. He loved music and he'd always be whistling around the house. Never sang, but always whistled. And I guess that sort of filtered in. So my brother and I got really interested in the Beatles when they first hit. I became a huge Beatle fan, and so I had this love affair with the singing and playing guitar. But initially, my parents said, learn a real instrument first, and it was kind of like saxophone was the one I chose.
So how old were you when you sort of started your journey, playing the sax and the guitar? How old were you?
Well, I started at 11, and I learned for 3.5 years or something. Yeah. But by 15, I left school at 15, and so I had a bit of an income stream. Mm-hmm. So I then bought myself a guitar and started to teach myself guitar from that point on. So that's when I got serious, I guess, from 15, 16. And then got into a band with my brother.
Initially, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got a twin brother?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Is it identical twins?
No, he's ugly. Yeah.
You're the better looking half.
Yeah, well, he says the same thing, so, No,
so did you play together? Like, how did...
Yeah, he learnt drums, actually, and so we'd entertain the kids around the neighbourhood, so we'd have it in the garage, So
becoming a musician, was it where you wanted to go in life? Like, talk us through that.
Yeah, well, I always wanted to be a performer. Yeah. I knew that. It was in me. Yeah. But it was one of those things where, I didn't want to, I wasn't interested in the fame and fortune at times.
Why is that?
I love music for the music. You compromise yourself. Once you start chasing the dollar, you've actually then sold a little bit of you.
Having such a talent like yourself here is just amazing. So, we've I think met about 5 years ago now, maybe 5-6 years ago. First saw you perform at our showcase, the South Australian Presenters Showcase. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was 10 o'clock in the morning and you were first up. And 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, it was the middle of winter. And you came out and you did Neil Diamond, and you did John Lennon, and you did Tom Jones, and it was all these artists. And I just was like, who is this guy? How do we have this fantastic performer just at our doorstep? And from then, well, as they say, sort of a bit of history in the sense that we've just had you time and time again. Yeah. I want to talk about that. Like, I want to talk about your shows. Like, how did that all start? Where did you start thinking, you know what, this is what I want to do?
It's really, I guess, an accident. I've always been a mimic, an eternal mimic. So I remember watching the Bugs Bunny show as a kid and mimicking all those characters, and they just became just a bit of fun. And then I get kids say, "Oh, do Bugs Bunny or do such and such," and it was like, "Oh, okay." So
can you do it now?
Bugs Bunny?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, guy?
It's like. So it's just stuff,
Right.
It's nonsense, really, but it was always then a case of, like, what else can you do? So I started to listen to artists and so forth. I got into bands, and I noticed that if I got a little closer to the artist when I sang the song, people would respond to that.
How much research have you put in to craft this?
I don't do anything by halves. It's not who I am. It's like I commit to something. It's like this album I've been working on. It's hours of, years of me developing the voice and guitar and those other instruments, but then crafting the ability to record things and get levels right, and then to mix and all that sort of stuff. So singing's pretty much the same, and then when you go to take on an artist, why do something to a lesser degree, if you keep working at it, it might get a little better. And so I guess that's who I am. That's my makeup.
Yeah. Let's talk about the shows that you do. Which one inspires you the most, or which one do you enjoy performing the most out of the Tom Jones and the Roy Orbisons? And there's so many you do.
Yeah, I know. It's a little bizarre, isn't it? It's, I guess the trouble is I get to a point where I couldn't do one artist. I would get bored with that. As much as I love that artist, so I got to a point where it's like whoever I'm doing now, that's my favourite one.
Sure.
So you have to align yourself with that and then go with it.
Your wife's in some of the shows.
Yeah.
Trish.
Yep.
We had Trish do her version of her own show last year. Tell us about your relationship. Obviously, you've got as your wife, as your partner, but performs in the bands as well. Like, it must be a very unique relationship you have.
Yeah. I mean, I respect her totally as a human being, but as a musician, she's the real deal.
Yeah.
She's classically trained and teaches music, beautiful voice, but a really skilled musician. Plays keyboards in the band and backing vocals, but her ear is so good. Like, she quite often she might work on the harmonies, working with 5-part harmonies.
Yep.
So she'll kind of like hear things that I'm not even aware of.
Right.
Bang, she's onto it.
The Neil Diamond Show and the other shows that you both are all you're in together. I love the banter that goes on. Probably not everyone in the audience know that you're husband and wife, but you carry on and...
Yeah, well, sometimes I tell them she's my sister or whatever.
It's just excellent.
Because she's much older than me. And it's like, they join in with that because it's kind of, it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's, a little politically incorrect or whatever. But I like that, like that's who I am too. I might tread on a few toes, but that's part of it.
Yeah. Tell us, how do we find out more about, obviously in the future, your shows? Where can we go? How can we find out more about what GHart does?
Well, I've got a website, so if you go to www.GHart Entertainment, you'll see there's a gig calendar. It'll be, at the moment, it'll be just cancelled, but hopefully we'll turn that around soon.
Being able to, I guess the 2020 shows, and we've discussed putting it into 2021. Is that what's happened for you for most of the 2020 shows?
I've still got some that are clinging on, but I don't like the chances of it. I've not cancelled anything.
Yep.
That's, it's their decision. I think things like this, you to be commended for this. This is, to me, so important to showcase artists, but to keep the thing alive. And I think this is what you and the staff at the Shedley and similar venues are, it's about protecting this industry and also protecting audiences, giving them a chance to see stuff rather than it just, evaporating. I mean, how many times has this theatre been on the chopping block? It's like you just start thinking, this should be heritage listed. It should be here forever.
Yeah. Oh, look, you've said some kind words, Greg, and I really appreciate that. For me, and for the Shedley and the Playford Council, this is really important that we have guests like yourself on the show who have such a strong following here in the north. You're an outstanding performer, and we want to continue to support you during these times, but also we're looking into the future as always, and we want to make sure that we have you back again, because our audiences love you and they miss you, so I'm glad we're able to spend this time talking to you and learning more about you and who you are. So I'm glad that you came on, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I think as I say, it's the least I can do in terms of gratitude toward you and your input. I think to me this is something that we all should embrace and work hard to keep.
Well, look, I'm hoping that we can get back to this soon. Thanks for joining us. I wish you all the best in 2020, and hopefully soon we can definitely have you back at the theatre.
Thanks, Andrew.
And thanks for joining us.
No, thank you very much.
Cheers. We hope you've enjoyed another episode of Centre Stage. Thank you for joining us at the Shelley Theatre. As they say in show business, break a leg. Good night.